DL Hadley, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it. My name is DL Hadley. I am a self-published indie author from Wisconsin. I have one novel that I self-published called Mystic Genesis that comes out March 9th, and I write high fantasy. I love fantasy. I've been a fan of fantasy for a long time, and it's been a passion of mine to always be an author, and thankfully with the opportunity you get as a self-published author, anybody can do it.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us what your book is about.
Oh, sure. Mystic Genesis is a story of a Ragnari prince. Now, for those that are scratching their heads, like, what in the world's a Ragnari? It's high fantasy, and fantasy is pretend. A it's about a Ragnari prince who is chosen by his deity to become a sorcerer and protect his people from a dark sorcerer from evil.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us what inspired you to write your book.
Oh, um, have you ever read anything by R.A. Salvatore?
I
R.A.
have not.
Salvatore, he is he is. Shout out to Bob. Shout out to R.A. Salvatore. He is the author that got me into fantasy. I was wanting to be an author since I was probably 12, and I'm 41. And I was at a Barnes and Noble maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I asked an employee, I'm like, I'm looking for a novel that has magic that I can use as inspiration for my first novel. And they said, "Oh, you need to check out this novel." It was a three-book, one of those thick books, like three stories in one book, and it was the first three novels that R.A. Salvatore wrote. And after I read it, I oh gosh, was it Crystal Shard? It was the very first one he ever wrote back in 1982. At that point, I'm like, you know what? I want to write fantasy. And from then, it's just been, you know, playing games like Elder Scrolls, watching Harry Potter, just having that childlike feeling of pretend. Because let's be honest, the real world's boring. So why not, hop in and jump into a pretend world, a place of magic and elves and trolls and goblins and dragons. It's just I'm getting goosebumps just saying this. That's how much I love fantasy.
Love that so much. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
Oh, well, let's see. It's like I said, back to the fellow, fantasy fanatics, those that, like to take a break from the real world and just, you know, be, be anything. Just anybody that likes fantasy. It's not just for, young children or young adults or adults. Anybody can get hooked into this genre, and hopefully everybody will have a opportunity to fall in love with my novel.
Love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
Oh, well, that is a good question. There's, like, how long have I been writing? And I started writing when I was like 12 or 13. My parents and I were watching. I have it was my younger sister, myself, and my parents when I was, like I said, 13, and we were watching Star Wars. I know I said fantasy and Star Wars is science fiction, but there's a rhyme and reason. I was watching that, and I remember vividly looking at my mother and like, I want to do that one day. I want to make a movie. She's like, well, in order to make a movie, movies come from books. Back then in the 50s or 60s, majority of the movies were inspired by novels. So she's like, you need to write a book. I'm like, okay, I go upstairs, and I start writing, and it was just a hobby back then, but I got serious about writing, thinking, okay, I could actually be an author about 2 or 3 years ago, thanks to a fellow indie author that's my best friend. Her name is Anna Moransky.
Amazing. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Well, the interesting thing is I have ADD or ADHD. I have ADD. So, and I also have a 15-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter, and been married for 16 years, and I have the traditional job. So it's really when I can write, and it's not like, oh, I can, I get a chapter done a day. I'm lucky if I have time to get like a paragraph sometimes, or taking some time off to, like, oh, I haven't written in like a week or so. If I'm lucky, I'll get 500 words, maybe 1,000 words every couple days.
Amazing. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Oh, that's easy. As soon as I'm writing, it's like I'm able to. It's hard to explain this unless you're an author. Maybe it's just me that as soon as I'm writing, everything's quiet. I can focus on the writing. I'm so passionate. And I love it so much. Like, okay, I've got to get this done. I want to get this done. That things don't distract me when I'm writing. Things can distract me, doing anything else. But the writing, it's like, okay, sit down. I got this great idea, and I get it done. It's hard to explain. You have to. I hope this is making sense because I'm very excited just talking about this. This is a passion outside of family and everything. This is the one thing that I love. The one thing that I look forward to doing daily, or it's all I'm thinking about is, well, I could take him and I could have him go north. No, I can't have him go north because he went north that last time, and he went against that that troll. No, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? It's an obsession, some say, but I think it's a healthy obsession. I think it's something that, if something makes you happy, if you're passionate about it, if it's something that makes you smile, and I don't care if it's an obsession. I don't care if it's something that you do all the time. It's your thing. It's the thing that you love, and I think that everybody should follow their passion, and you know
Amazing. What is your favorite writing snack and drink?
uh oh gosh, I'd have to say Cheez-Its, or or ramen noodles, and I'll either drink a prime one of those prime hydration drinks, specifically like the ice pop flavor. I love those. Or I'll drink coffee.
Love that. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
Fantasy. When you're I've tried, oh, there's so many different genres, DL. You gotta read mystery and science fiction and this and that and some romance, and no, I just, like, hey, power to you if you could read any genre. When you find something that you love, that you can connect with, that you can paint a mental picture. Like, I could see that there's, you know, the the cool grass is blowing in the wind, and it's, I could see his. I can't see that with any other genre. Yeah, you can listen to those audiobooks or read them of like horror or mystery, and it's like it's a blank picture. I don't see them. I'm not interested in it. So I have to say fantasy.
Love it. And I believe you touched on this next question, but are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Well, Ari Salvatore for sure, and Anna Moransky. She I believe Anna writes romance. I believe she I used to podcast a long time ago, and I was looking for a co-host, and I interviewed her, like one of those, like before you get the job kind of interviews. And I'm like, "What do you like to, what else do you do? What do you do?" She's like, "Well, I write novels." Like, "Oh, cool. I've always liked it. That's a cool little hobby." Like, "Oh, well, I'm self-published." I didn't know about self-publishing. So she got me into it. And she's been my beta reader. She's been my greatest supporter outside of my children, of course. But she's been my greatest fan and motivator and just everything. I wouldn't be the author that I am today without her and all the people that encourage me and cheer me on.
Love that. What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Oh, I was pulled out of public school when I was fourth grade. My parents homeschooled me. It seemed a lot better back then. It was, I believe, the early 1990s. And my mother wanted my sister and I to read and get into reading the classics. I don't even know. Some of these books might even be banned from libraries now. To Kill a Mockingbird, um, Huckleberry Finn, just classic novels. Oh gosh, what is that novel? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I'm trying to remember the title. Oh, I forgot what it was called. Prince of the Pauper. It was just books back then. I was never into the current hip. These are the books like Harry Potter was popular. It still is. Back in its prime, I didn't read that. I read the classics and like Ernest Hemingway, um, and just things like that really got me into the understanding of being able to use my imagination.
On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or series authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
I'd have to say this is gonna like this is gonna be quite repetitive. R.A. Salvatore, I love his things. I read his novels. I'm trying to get into thanks to Kindle Unlimited. I'm trying to read a lot more indie authors. As long as it's on the Kindle KU, that I'll give it a shot. There was one novel. I'm trying to remember what her name was. She wrote a it's in first person, and it's a story about Count Dracula's son. And I'm still reading it, and I wish I could remember what the name of it is. But I'm right now I'm in outside of Ari Salvatore. I'm in the kick of reading fellow indie authors novels.
Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Well, I think that at least from how it is being interpreted in my mind, find a genre, find something like best way to figure out what kind of novels that you would like is what kind of movies do you watch? What kind of television do you watch? Then you're like, okay, like let's take for an example, let's say, what's your favorite TV show? Yours.
I don't typically watch TV much, but we watch a lot of like Next Level Chef if we do.
Oh gosh, that doesn't. I don't think if anybody's written a novel that's in that genre, let me know. I'll definitely read it. But like, let's say you were into um superheroes. Like, let's say you liked watching Spider-Man or Batman the movies. Then you want to read a genre that's about a hero. Like find what you're interested in visually, and then you could take what you're interested in and look for a there are so many different types of novels out there, different genres. There's one for everybody, I guarantee you.
Love that. What would you tell someone on the other hand who's just starting to write their own book?
Oh, many years ago, this is an interesting story that actually well, I did actually want to share. My oldest half brother, Denny, shout out to Skippy. Many years ago, I told him like, oh, I hate my job. I don't like doing what I'm doing. And he's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Like, I want to be an author. Then do it. Be it. The only person that can get in the way of you doing what you want to do and be what you want to be is yourself.
Love that. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
I'm an introvert. There's not that many people. I think the one thing that people that I've met in my life that know me personally, that when I tell them I've written a novel, they're like, "Wait, you've written a novel? I didn't know you were an author." Because I'm the kind of person where it's like I keep my personal life to myself.
Love that. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for letting me come on. This has been a very this is the first you're the first podcast I've ever been interviewed on, so I was very nervous. Like, I hope I hope I actually do well on this. It's a thrill. Um, I think the one thing I would like to say outside of check out my novel, it's coming out March 9th. uh, I want to ask anybody that's listening the advice that my brother gave me. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? Do you want to be an author? Do you want to be a painter? Do you want to be a podcaster? Find what you're passionate about, do it, be it. The only person that can get in the way of you being or doing what you want to do is yourself. Regardless of people trying to discourage you, they can't discourage you. The only, be passionate about being passionate. Find the life goals. Do what makes you happy. That's all that matters. And you will find people eventually that will come into your life of like-minded passions or hobbies, or you'll find those that's where you're not going to please everybody. I wish we could. You're only going to make people happy that are of like-mindedness. So keep strong. I believe in you. And yeah.
Amazing. Where's the best place for readers to find your books? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place to connect with you?
Oh, I wish I did sign copies. I can't because I have nerve damage in my hand and it looks like chicken scratch. If you want to check out, okay, like I said, my first novel, Mystic Genesis, comes out March 9th. The website, in order to pre-order it before it comes out, or if you want to wait till it comes out, to each his own. You can go to linktr.ee/real DL Hadley. That's DLHADLEY. You can find me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, TikTok. Just search for at real DL Hadley. I mostly post on X and TikTok, but I'm also on Facebook. But yeah, you can find it there. The link for my novel, for my website, is on those social medias. I can't wait till my debut novel comes out. I'm actually working on my the sequel novel right now. I decided to take a little break to do this awesome interview, and I'm done with this, and I'll get back to writing that. But yeah, that's how you can get into contact with me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you.